So in the absence of a chair, I will chair the beginning of the meeting. Obviously, point 2 is the election of a chair, so I shan't be in charge for long. But I'd like to welcome you all. Thank you for coming, whether you're virtual or whether you're in person. As we are all relatively new to each other, a round of introductions might be in order. So if I just ask you to just mention who you are, which committee you're on, who you represent, and so on and so forth, that would be lovely. We'll start with Rebecca. So
I'm Rebecca, I'm the clerk to SACRE and I'm not on a committee.
Richard.
I'm County Councillor Richard Dodd. Been around a while, I think 2001 was the first entering it here. I've been chairman of the council and various other levels.
But you're new to SACRE,
yes,
this iteration. David.
I'm Councillor David Fitzgerald. I'm on the SACRE committee, the Public Right Way committee, as well as licensing and regulatory committees as well.
And you're new to SACRE?
And I'm new to SACRE.
Thank you. Joyce?
And I'm Joyce Miller, I'm the Buddhist representative, and I've now been on this SACRE for 5 years, I think.
Absolutely.
I'm Claire Dixon, and I'm a Roman Catholic representative.
And you've been on SACRE for?
I've been on SACRE, so it tells me from July 2022.
Absolutely. Trevor?
Yes, my name's Trevor Thorne. I'm a county councillor for Shilbottle. My main job on the council is chairman of strategic planning, but I have been on SACRE for a number of years. I think I joined 2017.
Thank you. Georgina?
Hello everyone, I'm Georgina Hill. I'm an independent councillor representing the best ward in the county of Berwick East. I've been a councillor for 8.5 years, and I'm on various committees. I chair the Health and Wellbeing Overview Scrutiny Committee, and I'm new to SACRE.
Thank you. Jean?
I'm Jean Simpson. I've been on SACRE for 3 years and I represent the Baptist Church.
Thank you. Ros?
Hi, I'm Ros Cant. I'm the Church of England representative. I've been on SACRE a couple of years. I'm also an assistant head teacher in a Church of England primary school in Cramlington.
Thank you. Deanna?
Hello, I'm Deanna Vanderveld. I represent the Orthodox Jewish community in Newcastle, and I can't tell you how long I've been on Northumberland SACRE, but it's a long time.
Longer than me, I think, Deanna.
Yeah, I think so. Yes, I mean,
Absolutely.
I remember Mr. Arkless you were talking about before.
Yes.
And before him as well.
Thank you. Sahel?
Hi everyone, my name's Sahel. I'm the Islamic / Muslim representative. I'm an education manager for the Islamic Diversity Centre in the northeast of England, and so I haven't necessarily been. I'm quite new to SACRE. I've been to 1 or 2 meetings. My colleague before me, Miriam, she was the kind of representative before me, so I'm quite new to it all.
Lovely, thank you. And Beth?
Hi, I'm Beth. I'm the head of RS at Queen Elizabeth High School. I've met a few of you before, actually, like either in person or over the internet. So it's nice to see some of you. And I'm brand new. So nice to meet you all.
Oh, that's where you're from. Yeah.
Beth is observing today. So this is her first meeting for SACRE. And I'm Dave Compson. I'm head of the School Improvement Service and also the lead officer for SACRE. Have we got any apologies for absence?
Yes, we've had one apology for absence from Paul Rusby.
And sorry, we have had Kaz as well.
And Kaz has sent her apologies as well.
So Paul Rusby and Kaz can't be with us today. Right, point 2, election of a chair. So if I just read through the blurb in the agenda, because of course with the new constitution this is slightly different to how we've done things before. So there are 4 bullet points. The chair and vice chair appointed from members of committees A, B, C and D. Any appointment will be 4 years or until the person appointed ceases to be a member of SACRE, whichever is sooner. Nominations should be made in writing to the clerk. Those nominees should understand the work of the SACRE and should have been a member of SACRE for at least 1 year previously. And then it talks about the chair and the vice chair being members of different committees and so on and so forth. So, do we have any nominations, Rebecca?
We have one nomination for Joyce Miller.
So, bullet point 4, in the event of more than one committee representative being nominated, an election shall be held. As there is only one nomination, we need no election. So that means, Joyce, that you are duly elected as chair of SACRE for the next 4 years.
If I'm still going.
You will be, I'll be picking you up if needs be.
Do my best.
Thank you. So Joyce is our new chair. We'll come on to the vice chair in a second. Do you want me to carry on, or are you happy to pick it up?
I can pick it up.
That's lovely. Thank you.
And first of all, do I need to move seats? Can everybody see me?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, so I can see where I am. First of all, thank you very much indeed for the honour of chairing Northumberland SACRE. I think perhaps the majority of people here don't actually know me, so I'll just say a little bit. My local credentials are that I went to North Sunderland County Primary School before it was Sea Houses first, and to the Duchess's School for Girls before it was a mixed comprehensive school. My first teaching job was at Gosforth Grammar School in the days when Gosforth was still in Northumberland, which tells you I've been around for a very long time indeed. The whole of my professional life has been in religious education, in schools, at university, working for a local authority. I retired 17 years ago, but I've barely noticed the difference in the amount of work I do. I'm still very busy in RE, and I've got a whole number of activities I'm involved in. I won't bore you with them, but if ever it's relevant, I will declare an interest here and there. So thank you for electing me. And I think at this point we ought also to thank Catherine Seymour, who took on SACRE and valiantly spent a huge amount of time learning about SACRE and RE and the rather complicated laws that govern it. She volunteered to go to conferences in London, and I think we're very grateful to Catherine for all the work that she did. And since I live within walking distance of Catherine's house, perhaps I can pop in with a card on behalf of SACRE, thanking her for the work that she has done. Disclosures of interest. Are there any? I don't think in the whole of human history there's ever been a disclosure of interest, so thank you very much indeed. And now to point 4 on the agenda, which is the election of a vice chair. Have we had any nominations, Rebecca?
We have not.
Ah, right.
We had a nomination for Paul Rusby, who's declined.
That is a very great pity. I think Paul would have been an excellent deputy chair. This creates a little bit of a problem. In the past, Deanna has been the vice chair, and again, I think we should thank Deanna for her many years of sterling service. There were a number of occasions when she came to a meeting and found out that she was chairing it, and well, I'm delighted you're still on SACRE, but the new constitution means that Deanna can't continue to be chair, and so we'll have to put a call out for nominations for the next meeting of SACRE, whenever that is. And it would be very helpful if people could try to nobble someone and gain consent so that we don't have another meeting without a deputy chair. Can we turn to the minutes of the last meeting? And I'm afraid I was ill at the February meeting, so I wasn't in attendance. But could we please check for accuracy first for the very few people who were present? So are there any corrections to what is page 11 in our papers? Page 12, page 13, page 14, 15, page 16. In that case, we'll note that this is an accurate record of the meeting held in February, and I'll sign the document later, so thank you very much indeed. Rebecca, as ever, has provided us with accurate minutes. And are there any matters arising from the minutes, please? I think most things are going to reappear at various points on the agenda. And so we move to the new items on the agenda.
We've got membership.
Yes. Yeah, we have. So I think technically we're now starting the AGM, which the Constitution now requires should happen in the first meeting. And the Constitution has 4 items on the agenda for an AGM. So the first is membership, and the very important matter of membership and representation of each committee. You'll see from the annual report that we have a number of vacancies, and we've now got 2 new places on the Teachers Committee, because we can now have a representative of the RE Network teachers group and a representative from higher education, which means that we have a number of vacancies, and that is an issue we need to address, I think. We do have Claire Curtis as an observer, and Claire is ill, I believe, and so not here. But I think it would be courteous if we were to ask Claire first if she would like to be recognised as a former member of SACRE on the Teachers Associations Committee. And if, for whatever reason, Claire is unable to do that, then we could ask Kaz to nominate somebody else, so that by the February meeting we will have a representative from the local teachers network. Is everyone happy if we proceed in that way?
Can I just raise a point, Joyce?
Yes, please.
It may well be that if Beth enjoys herself this evening, then Beth is head of RE at a secondary school. May well be somebody else we can consider.
That would be wonderful, because I don't think we have anyone who is a secondary specialist on SACRE, and so if Beth were able and willing to join us, then that would be excellent.
I am both able and willing. I also teach the middle school, so I'm both.
And I think we have ourselves a new member, hopefully. We can perhaps do the formal nomination, because you will receive a formal letter from the authority inviting you to represent teachers on SACRE. We still have a number of network of vacancies, and I'm sure that great efforts have been made in the past to fill those vacancies, but there are times when we have as many vacancies as we have people attending a SACRE meeting, and I think we do need to try to do something about that, so that we can try to make sure that we are always quorate in future. Gianna, is your hand up to say something?
Yes, it is. I might be able to get you a representative from the Methodist Church. There's a new moderator who has just moved up to Amble. I haven't met him yet, but I was part of the Council of Christians and Jews AGM today, and he wants to get in touch with me. I think he's retired, so there's a possibility we could have a Methodist representative, unless we have one already. I don't think we.
But I don't think we have. I have to check.
No, I think it was Ted who represented the three churches.
Ted represented a number of
He
groups.
did. Methodists aren't officially on our list,
No, they're not.
apparently. Thank you, Deanna. Can you leave that with us, because that does
Yes,
raise
of course.
a
Come back to me.
And we
Yeah.
need to check whether, according to the Constitution, we can appoint somebody as a Methodist. And I think perhaps we need to check the Free Church representation in the past and how that has evolved. So thank you very much indeed for that suggestion, Deanna.
And I think with the other vacancies on Committee A in particular, if we ask Rebecca to go back and approach the national bodies as we've done in the past, which is the first step we normally take. And if that doesn't work, then go around to friends and colleagues.
Yes.
Approach it that way.
It would be very good to try to fill some of these vacancies by February.
Yep.
So perhaps, Rebecca, we could have a chat about who to contact. Dave and I were contacted recently to attend a meeting today. And I can't quite remember what it was called, but something like an interfaith dialogue group. And there were representatives from all of the main bodies. And so there were some new names there to me. So there might be contacts we can come up with there. I wonder if we could talk to Paul Rusby about the 2 vacancies in the Church of England, because it ought to be possible to fill 2, given the number of Anglican churches there are in Northumberland. We should be able to find 2 there. And Beth, perhaps you could let us know which of the teacher unions you belong to, if you could let
the teaching unions, I'm part of the NEU.
The NEU?
The National Education Union.
Okay. So I think perhaps if Dave and Beth and I, and perhaps Dave and Rebecca and I, and we can talk to Kat about her connections, but I think one of our actions is definitely to try to ensure that the number of vacancies we have on SACRE are filled as soon as possible. So the next point on the AGM, I think, is the finance report. Can you talk us through that?
I can. Yeah, my apologies to those who are physically here that I haven't got a paper copy, but I've just tried 3 different printers at County Hall, and none of them seem to be working this afternoon. It is a brief report. It is 2 pages long and will obviously be in with the minutes. Those of you who are online should find the link in the chat, so you will be able to access it. So you'll be able to see it as well. But I can literally read the text to you because it is only 3 or 4 paragraphs. So this is a finance summary for the academic year, September 24 to August 25. The finance comes from the Central School Services block, which is money that is provided by the DFE to local authorities, and some of it is ring-fenced for SACREs within that particular block of funding. We are allocated £7,000 each financial year. That equates to 0.32% of the Central School Services block. Now, if you were to talk to SACRE, they would suggest that local authorities should be giving about 2%. And we have discussed whether or not we should approach the local authority to ask for more money in the past, and the decision previously has been no, simply because we don't actually spend what we're given already. So asking for more would seem a little bit churlish. And of course, every other penny and pound that we get for SACRE means that some other element of Central School Services provided by the local authority doesn't get that money. So to get more ourselves would be to take away from another central service within the local authority. If we have an agreed syllabus conference, that's the year before we launch a new agreed syllabus, then more funding is provided, as it was back in 2022. And at the end of each financial year, any monies that we haven't spent is returned back to the council, and that's the same for all education budgets. That's not just ours. That's every education budget. So, out of the £7,000 that we were allocated, we spent in the academic year £3,176.41. So slightly less than half. 94% of that £3,176.41 was spent on funding Caroline Weir, Kaz, the RE consultant. So Kaz is paid to work in school, to lead the RE network, to provide the online training. So that the vast majority goes towards paying for her time. We also fund attendance at conferences and memberships to different organisations for Kaz within that 94.5%. The other 5.5% was spent on the annual subscription to SACRE and access for all committee members to the SACRE online training. So that's where the money went. And the third page of the report, when you see it, is a breakdown of all the spending. So you can see exactly where the money went, and you can double check my sums should you wish. So we are offered £7,000 a year, which we receive. We have spent in the last academic year slightly less than half. My expectation for this academic year is that it will be about the same. The vast majority will go towards funding for Kaz to do her work. The demand for Kaz's work changes. So in some years there is more demand than others. I think the year of and the year after a new syllabus, she will always be busier. As we are sort of in the middle of a syllabus cycle at the moment, I don't expect the demand to be much greater than in previous years. But it just depends on whether schools ask for the support. So in theory, schools understand that support is available for free, and all they have to do is contact Kaz or I to arrange a visit, and we pay Kaz for each visit that she makes. I haven't had any requests this academic year so far. Now, Kaz may have done herself directly, but I haven't had any so far. So the demand for Kaz's time at the moment is not particularly great. So I would expect, unless something else changes, or a school has an Ofsted inspection at which RE is mentioned in a less than positive light, then I wouldn't expect the spending to change a great deal in this academic year.
Right, thank you very much indeed, Dave. Does anybody have any questions for Dave on that report?
No.
Can I ask if there are any restrictions on how we spend the remaining money?
I don't think there are.
Okay.
So I think it would be entirely, as long as the committee were happy, then I can't see any reason why any sensible suggestion couldn't be considered.
So if our action plan involved some expenditure, then that would be acceptable?
Absolutely right.
I'm quite surprised that the finance doesn't include of accommodation, of Rebecca's time, of your time, because if all of that were included, it would be way over £7,000, I think.
It certainly would, yes.
And so while it looks as if Northumberland isn't being all that generous, we're not getting 2%, I think if the total cost of SACRE were added together, we might well be in excess of £2,000.
Yep.
So, 2%, sorry, and in excess of £7,000. So I think that all looks very satisfactory for now. And when we come on to the action plan, if anyone can think of ways in which we can usefully spend money and support schools, then that would be a good use of the remaining finance. It always seems a great pity to have to pay money back when it's on offer for us to use. I think that formally that brings us to the end of the AGM, because there are 4 items on the AGM. One is the election of officers, which we've done. The 2 we've gone through. The other is any changes to the Constitution. But since the Constitution's only just been changed, can I assume that there are no further suggestions for that? So that draws a line under the AGM. and the next AGM will be on the agenda for September next year. On the subject of the Constitution, I would very much like to thank the members of the working group that tidied up the old Constitution and clarified various points. I'd like to thank Dave because he was the one who steered it through Cabinet, which is where it eventually went. And my impression from the sidelines, Dave, is that there were staff members in legal who were helpful. And
very helpful indeed, yes. Yep.
So, is it sufficient for you to pass on SACRE's
Absolutely.
To legal?
Yep.
Because these things can take a very long time, and I think it was all dealt with pretty quickly in the end.
They were very helpful.
That is excellent. The point 12 on the agenda is constitution review, but I'm going to assume that we've now covered that in the AGM part. There may be points about the new constitution we'll pick up in a moment. To move to the rest of the agenda, I'd like to suggest, if you're happy, that we at this point introduce a completely new agenda item, which we didn't know anything about when the papers came out, because last week was one of the most significant publications in the history of religious education in England and Wales, and that is not overstating the position. So those of you who are new to SACRE are joining at a very interesting time. It is unlikely to be smooth progress, but last week saw the publication of the Curriculum and Assessment Review, and Dave very kindly sent around the summary and a link to the section of the report that covers religious education. But again, Dave, it might be quite useful if you were to pick up some of the key points.
Absolutely, yeah. So the Curriculum and Assessment Review is a very an absolute landmark piece of work. Whether or not the recommendations are taken up by the DFE is a slightly different question. For some of the other subjects and some of the other areas that I mentioned, the DFE have already accepted those suggestions. In one or two areas they have said no, and in other areas they've come up with something completely different. So whether what is suggested by the review actually takes place or not will be an interesting thing to see. I would expect the DFE to agree with the approach. Whether the DFE agree with the outcome is slightly different. So the approach is going to be in two stages. The sector will form a task and finish group, convened and led by Dr. Vanessa Ogden, who I don't know of, but I'm sure you do, Joyce. I thought you might. They will consider the legislative framework and what any changes, what the impact of any changes might be on SACREs. They will come up with a long-term plan for implementing those changes. There are suggestions that sixth form in schools, sixth forms may not have to teach RE going forward, but again, that's a suggestion. It's not. It's certainly not statute. And there should be new non-statutory guidance produced because, of course, you will remember that we're still working from the 2010 version. That's the most recent non-statutory guidance that we have. So once all that's done, we may then get to stage two, which is having a new draft RE curriculum with a consensus, which would be formally consulted upon, and at the same time they would consult upon the changes to the legislation. The aim is to have RE as a national curriculum subject in a number of years. The rest of the curriculum and assessment, the new curriculum is due to be taught from September 28, I think, my memory serves me right. I would imagine this will be 29 or 30. I don't imagine we will be so quick off the mark that we can have a completely new curriculum that has been agreed upon, consulted upon, and staff given time to prepare for by 2028. But I may well be wrong. So the idea would be to bring RE in line with other national curriculum subjects, which may mean the demise of SACREs as we know them, because if there is a national agreed curriculum, in theory there would be no need for local committees to meet such as this. But again, that's all part of the consultation. But we're going to be here for a little while yet. I noticed Rebecca's put 2 years worth of dates into the calendar, and I'm quite sure we will complete all of those 2 years at least. But yes, you have been emailed that summary and links to the report. And in time, we will see, you know, by February, we may well have the task and finish group ready and some information from Dr. Ogden, but we will see. At the moment, there is nothing more to update you on apart from what you've had in the email and what I've just described.
Does anyone have any comments or questions on the curriculum and assessment review and its implications for RE? I was at an online meeting on Monday night. I'm still a member of the Association of RE Advisors, Inspectors and Consultants. And so we had an hour and a half on Monday evening talking about this. And apparently stage 1 will be completed by March next year, which is quite extraordinary really in terms of speed. But it's because Vanessa Ogden is moving on to a new job. I have worked with Vanessa. She and I were both members of the Commission on RE, which reported in 2018. And a good deal of the work of the Commission has underpinned the work of the Curriculum and Assessment Review. I do rate Vanessa very highly. She's head of an extremely successful girls' school in London, and now I think Chief Exec of the Multi-Academy Trust, and an RE specialist. So RE is in good hands with her. But I think speed is going to be of the essence. The National Association of SACREs have been told that they will be part of the consultation, which will happen in the next few months. But I think our question is, what are we going to do and what are our views on these proposals? We don't have a huge amount of time to discuss it. It may be that in our February meeting we will be able to talk more. I would be interested, Dave, in how head teachers relate to the suggestion that RE will now become part of the national curriculum. For those of you who don't know, in 1988, when the national curriculum was set up, RE was deliberately excluded and was part of the basic curriculum, compulsory, but not part of the national curriculum. This would require legislative change, which is why Dave is absolutely right. It's going to take a very, very long time. But I think it's very important that all SACREs and all other interested bodies should make their views felt. And I think we do need to consider our views. Is there a way of finding out whether head teachers in Northumberland would broadly be in favour of RE becoming national curriculum, be in favour of removing the statutory requirement for RE in the sixth form?
I can certainly ask those questions of them, yeah.
Well, I think it would be very, very useful to know how our heads feel about this.
Is there a mechanism? Is there a mechanism where you can ask, you know, press of a button, yes, no, or whatever?
Yeah.
Or there is.
Whether I get the responses is a different matter. I can ask the question, but whether I get the responses. But I can do a combination of online and face-to-face as we meet different head teachers in different places. So between now and February, our next meeting, I could come back with a fairly good idea about what people think.
Because I think that information would help us formulate our response, and I do think we need, as a SACRE, to send our response to Vanessa and to the DFE on this. Beth, I'm sorry to put you on the spot when you're an observer, but do you have a view about RE no longer being statutory in the sixth form?
I mean, most schools ignore that requirement anyway, so I don't think it's going to make a massive difference. It just means that finally we'll be within the law, which would be nice. Yeah. I was actually just typing a suggestion, maybe as well as asking the heads, if we could ask the RS teachers themselves, because I do feel like head teachers often just ignore religious education as much as they can, but asking the actual people who have to practice it, and teach it is probably also going to give us some valuable data.
I think that's a really useful action point, and your view about it being observed in the breach is absolutely spot on. And of course, it's only sixth formers in schools that have to have RE. If you're at a sixth form college, if you're at an FE college, you don't. So the law is really very confused about RE for post 16. So I think we should definitely pick up your idea, Beth, and we will find a way by the end of this meeting of deciding exactly how we're going to contact teachers. And I think it would certainly be an action point for Kaz to raise this at her next network meeting, which I think is very
Yes, it's Monday.
It's Monday. So shall I email Kaz and ask her to do that?
Yep. So if I ask head teachers and separately RE teachers in schools 2 questions, whether they are in favour of RE becoming a national curriculum subject, and how the teachers of sixth forms and head teachers of schools of sixth forms feel about RE not being a compulsory requirement. Are they the 2 questions you'd like to ask?
Yeah.
Should I ask them anything else?
Well, can we save that question, because I think that might come up in other conversations that we're going to have about communicating with schools. We might be able to put more than one egg in a basket, which would be a good thing. Does anyone want to say anything else about the curriculum and assessment review at this point? Georgina?
Thank you. Yes, a couple of points. Certainly it'd be useful to get more detail and have a wider discussion on this in the February meeting. Am I right? And I'm really just reading the sort of headline comments, not deep diving into the detail of this, and obviously that can wait in February. But am I right in my understanding that the suggestion is that it is the same content across the country? So if, for example, one area has, I'll just make up stats to ask my point, 95% Christian, or another area 95% Buddhist, again, just making up these stats, but the content would be identical, and it would get rid of the local authorities' input to say, well, the makeup of our area is, more heavily whatever. Am I correct in my understanding, or? Because that would be something I think needs further discussion.
I think you respond in terms of the national curriculum generally and how it operates, and then I might need to say something else about how it.
So, if you take the strict definition of the national curriculum, then yes, it is the same for everybody across the country. Although academies don't have to teach the national curriculum as it stands, they have to teach something that is as good as or better than. Now again, nobody goes and checks, I don't think, although Ofsted sort of do. So in theory, yes, there would be the same content across the country. However, I think exactly that's why there is a 2-stage approach, because that would not, in my view, would work. So I think that's what Joyce is going to pick up.
Yes. I think within the national curriculum there is local variation anyway. In history, you could do bits of local history if you wanted to, couldn't you? Yeah. And of course, wherever you live in the country, the same law applies, that the teaching of Christianity must predominate whilst taking account of all of the other principal religions and now humanism represented here. So that basic law is for everybody. How it's interpreted locally is obviously very, very different. So there are, of course, more than 150 local authorities in the country, and that could mean theoretically that 150 agreed syllabuses are being written. That doesn't quite happen in practice, but because people buy each other's and join forces, but there is still a huge duplication of work taking place with fairly limited resources to fund it all. So does that answer your question, Georgina?
Yes, that's fine. I said it'd be good to have obviously further discussions on this in details.
Yeah, we will. So can we leave the curriculum and assessment suggestions for now? And we will have them on the probably the main agenda item, or one of the main agenda items, at our next meeting, when hopefully we'll have evidence to bring back to SACRE members. And in the meantime, it would be very helpful if everyone were to try to formulate their own thoughts. Within the RE Inspectors Association, there are those who are absolutely opposed to it and want to maintain local determination as it is, and there are those who are absolutely in favour of it. So the professionals are divided, so it will not be an easy consensus to find in the end. Right, thank you very much indeed for that extra addition to the agenda. I'm afraid we've played fast and loose with your numbers, Rebecca, but I'm sure you'll manage to keep up. If we could move to point 9 on the agenda, please, and the update of contacts with schools and training provision, which Kaz would normally have provided, but she's at a conference somewhere today.
Yes. So there is no update from Kaz. I can tell you, as we've just mentioned, that the next network meeting is on Monday. That the online training that she produced last year is available again this year. That the newsletter is still available and has recently been updated. I do that bit. But as far as I know, the demand for Kaz's time from Northumberland schools has been relatively small so far this year. I did have a conversation with a new RE teacher at Wittrig Middle School, and you may remember going back a little while that Seaton Valley High School, which was Astley High School, was one of those schools that didn't have a great deal of RE provision. That has changed partly after our intervention and discussions with them. So they have appointed an RE specialist who has been working in Roman Catholic schools for a number of years. So he phoned me for a conversation about the agreed syllabus and how it was slightly different to what he was used to. But it is good to see a school like that appointing a specialist RE teacher, because that still is a bit of an issue in a number of our schools, that quite a few of the teachers who teach RE are not necessarily subject specialists. But Kaz is there and ready for the phone calls to come in and the questions to be asked. But it seems to be quite a quiet start to which I'm taking as a good thing, that everybody's happy and working away quite effectively.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions to send on to Kaz at this point? And hopefully she'll be here in person for the next meeting. Number 10 on the agenda is Holocaust Memorial Day, which I think is probably simply for members' information. Is it, Rebecca?
It is, unless Deanna's got anything to add.
Yes, Deanna.
Yes, we were supposed to have a meeting tomorrow. The problem is that our Rabbi Aaron, is leaving just after Christmas and going to London. And we don't quite know the role of the replacement and whether they would be willing to do that. But we have, and I hope this is acceptable, senior members of the community who could step into Rabbi Aaron's shoes and do it adequately, because I'm having to look at that for other Holocaust events.
Diana, is there anything that SACRE members can help with in terms of Holocaust Memorial Day?
It's Jackie Roll, who I can't remember what her, I don't want to make a pun about her name, what her role is. I keep forgetting.
Events. Jackie does events.
Right, okay. So it's mainly from that department that people come along, and some of the youth leaders as well, and myself. And I haven't had a chance to talk to our president, who's just come back from Australia, because you have got somebody who works at Northumberland County Council who from the Gateshead community, and I think he was going to ask him, but I don't know the outcome. So we have to wait. But as I say, it doesn't have to be a rabbi, but a senior member of the community, if that's acceptable.
So the event is organised by an events manager based in County Hall, is that right?
Yes, yes.
And are SACRE members invited to attend?
Yes, I think they are, aren't they?
So that
Dave?
Members on that, yeah.
Yes,
A lot of people
yes.
get invited.
And in the past, some schools have been involved, haven't they?
Yes, they have.
again-
We haven't got very far with that, or they have, and it hasn't been shared. I don't know.
And
there
again,
hasn't been a meeting.
okay.
I might email Jackie and suggest to her what I've said to you, because we haven't got a rabbi. If we do get one, he'll probably be part-time, and I'm not sure when he would start.
Okay.
I'll make sure that there is a representative.
I'm sure Jackie will be organising, but I do know that she's retiring very soon. Is she retiring at Christmas? Christmas, yeah. She's leaving the authority.
This is the end of January, isn't
Right.
Yeah,
I don't know who
obviously-
her second in command is.
Yeah.
I don't
think there is a
they're
second
just
in
names
command.
and faces to me. I don't know their roles.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm sure she'll be, contact for the present and probably organising it before she leaves. But
yes,
it'll be
thank you
interesting
very much.
who takes over.
I think once Jackie leaves, I think the plan is that it comes over to Democratic Services.
So, or your team.
Yeah.
So if SACRE members can assist in any way, I think everyone would be.
Thank you. It's sometimes, if you know of somebody who maybe from the Ukrainian community or possibly the Roma. Do you have any Roma community in Northumberland?
Yes, we do, yeah.
Or possibly from the Roma community that we could, because there was Newcastle City Council have actually unveiled a memorial to them. There's quite a big community in Newcastle, and I think we're thinking of including them in the Hexham diocese one. So, there are possibilities, and I think the theme is across the generations, isn't it? Something like that.
So Ian Luke, who works within the School Improvement Service, and he does a lot of work with Roma trauma communities, asylum seekers, and refugees. I think you've met him before, Deanna, in previous years, planning the Holocaust.
Yes, I have. Virtually.
So he will be involved again this year.
Yeah. And I'm not sure what schools will be involved, but we have had involvement with schools in the past.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Deanna, and I hope the planning goes well.
I hope so too.
If there is anything we can do, then I'm sure SACRE will be very happy to support that. And do we know the time on the 26th of January?
It's usually about 10:15, because you've got the HMD flag, haven't you, that's raised, and usually the rabbi does that. And then he does a memorial prayer. Whether they're going to have a central speaker or not, or just several people doing things, I don't know. Dave, just a thought. Have any of the secondary schools sent any of their kids to on the Auschwitz trip?
I don't know, because I haven't asked the question, and nobody's volunteered that information to me, so I couldn't tell you, Deanna. The information does go out in the newsletter regularly.
I know.
But whether or
because
not
it would be good
taken that up, I don't know.
Beth's got her hand up. Maybe she wants to contribute something.
Oh, sorry, thank you. I've got my reading.
Sorry, I just know that we have sent several students in the last few years to the lessons from Auschwitz, so if they can be of any help. I'm actually having a meeting tomorrow to discuss how we're going to be celebrating Holocaust Memorial Day here. So if we could send any students to anything, that would be really good.
Beth, we've done it with other local authorities, and it's very powerful hearing these young people talk about what that experience meant to them, and then that's across the generations. That would be good. That really would be.
That sounds an excellent idea, Beth. Thank you very much for that.
Mm.
Can we leave that in your hands, Diana, to liaise with Beth on that?
Beth, can I just, can I, if this is personal, can you get in touch with me about next week?
Yes, yeah, I will.
Because I'm supposed to be doing something for you.
Thank
Right,
you.
thank you. Sorry, it's just that.
Okay, no, thank you very much, Diana. Can we move to the draft annual SACRE report? And can I ask if anyone has any comments to make about the report, which Dave has yet again spent an enormous amount of time working on. I used to have to write these reports when I worked for Bradford, and I know they're quite a challenge. Are there any comments, any corrections on this draft?
What page are we on?
I think we're on page 20 or 19. Thank you.
Start at 17.
Start at 17 with the table of contents. I have one very small correction, Dave.
Yep.
On page 25, it has association. The first complete line saying that I attended a meeting of it's the Association of RE Inspectors. Not, I think it said on or something. Yes, North East Association. It should be of RE Inspectors. Which is a tiny typo. Yes, you corrected it as well, haven't you? So the first line of ordinary type underneath the bold.
Sorry, which section are we in?
On page 25?
My page numbers are different.
Ah, okay. Well, it's page 9 of your report.
Page 9 of my report?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, sorry, of, not.
Yeah.
Or, yes. Thank you.
And this may sound a bit pernickety, but one of the things I think is really important about a SACRE is that every committee, and there are 4 of us here, is of equal status and value. And I wonder if we should include everybody's titles or nobody's. So I think, for example, that Paul is a reverend, and I assume that Pandit Lion Kumavias is, I assume Pandit is an honorific title. So we've got some titles, but not others. Obviously, councillors all have them. And it would just, I don't think we should worry about it for this one. It's too late.
Okay.
But in future, it would be helpful if SACRE members could identify the formal title that they would wish to have used. So it's titles for everybody, I think, or titles for nobody. That would be for next year. In the absence of any corrections or comments, we can't actually agree this report because we're not for it, but we do have to submit it by the end of December, and so there's no possibility of it going to another meeting. I think we might have to write to SACRE members and require a response to, there may be more than one point of action for them to pick up for those that weren't here. But I think it would be better if this were an agreed annual report. That is normal practice in SACREs, I believe. So that by the end of December it could be sent. One copy goes to the National Association of SACREs and the other to the Department for Education. So if we could get agreement from the Teachers Committee, can I assume that everyone here is happy to accept this annual report and for it to be sent on our behalf?
Yeah.
Can I just ask how many members do we need to be here to be quorum?
We need 1 member of each committee, and Beth isn't officially a member yet, and so it's the Teachers Committee that's the problem today. and a very important reason for trying to strengthen the Teachers' Committee so that we can always be quorate, which makes life much, much easier. Right, thank you very much indeed for that. And so we move on to the next item on the agenda, which is now number 13, the Northumberland and SACRE Development Plan. Dave again has the onerous task of putting an action plan together, and we normally have them for the year ahead, 18 months ahead, and I think it's really important for SACRE members to actively input ideas into the action plan. And that is, I think, particularly important this year because we now have a new constitution. We have always been independent of the council, all SACREs always have, but I think that is now absolutely clear for us. And so, basically, as long as it's legal and educational and supported, SACRE is free to work in whatever way it chooses and to promote our real and collective worship in schools. So I think the more energy that a SACRE has, the more energy it generates. And I think success does build on success. And I think we do need some active involvement from a wide range of SACRE members so that we don't just talk about things, we actually do things on our action plan. Dave, do you want to make any introductory comments about the action plan?
Yes, so if I just give you a flavour of what was on last year's, we had objectives around members of committees A and B supporting the RE hubs. We were trying to, exactly as you just said, Joyce, trying to get more members involved in more things by expecting SACRE members to take responsibility for raising agenda items, because in general there was one or two members who would provide agenda items and nobody else would suggest anything. We were asking members to identify topics where they needed training, because we do have access to all the SACRE training and any other training that you may feel that's useful. One of the items was working with governor services to help school governors understand the law. That was done, but that was an action for me to do, so it was done. There was a bid for a West Hill funding project, which didn't get off the ground. There was a six-month conference, which didn't get off the ground. And there was a suggestion that we were going to look to host an Anne Frank exhibition or another major exhibition in Northumberland, which again didn't come to fruition. But I think the point is, and I think the strengthening the Teachers' Committee, we absolutely need to focus on what will make a difference to schools and the teaching of RE in schools. So asking people like Beth is going to be really important. And again, that can be a question, if you would like, is to try and find out from schools what it is that they would like us to do or work on or develop to support the work that goes on in those classrooms.
Claire, would you like to come in at this point? Because you and Nick Morfitt, when he was at Green Council, and I started working on the idea of a survey to go out to schools with a view to organising a conference, which had been on our 2-year plan for SACRE. We did get quite a lot of advice that it is extremely difficult to get both teachers and pupils out of school. And so, especially after Nick left, we'd done quite a lot of preparatory work.
Yes.
Where do you think we're at with that, Claire?
I think my main sort of question about it is we need to make sure that it's relevant. Is it a question that might come up that the schools think we need a conference on? Because rather than us just deciding on a question, it's got to be useful. It's got to be a need for a conference.
So if we could come up with an open-ended questionnaire of asking teachers what they want, what they need, and including would they like a conference, and if so,
on
what?
something that's really, really important.
Yeah.
Because the way funding is and time out of school, it's just
It
not,
isn't going to
it's not.
So perhaps we could find a way, David, incorporating a number of these questions where we want feedback from schools. We could let you have a copy of the survey in its current form and then refine that and get that out to schools, looking at CPD needs from teachers, whether or not a conference would be a good thing. And since that's suggested, I think that we should ask teachers about the curriculum and assessment review. We could now include some questions for RE teachers. So I think we've got an action of surveying teachers to find out their training needs and their views on the possible national curriculum for RE, and a good deal of the groundwork is done on that. Claire, did you want to add something else?
I know I've been in touch with Dave over this, but it's collective worship. It's something that I feel very strongly about in schools, knowing that when we're talking about interfaith and also our country's becoming more multicultural, I was prepared, starting with first school, I have to say, Beth, to look at doing collective worship ideas for different days of the week, so that the information, the websites and information for the teachers, which I did do in my previous school, is available, so the teachers just have a click of a button, the collective worship is there. As in my experience, I could be wrong, many schools think, well, collective worship, we've got so many other things to fit in, which I fully understand, and it can get missed. My idea is to make it as simple as possible, that the teacher's information is there at a press of a button.
Are you suggesting, Claire, that this should be on our action plan for next year? To begin preparing materials?
Which I'm very happy to lead.
You're happy to do
I
that?
am, because it's something I really, really feel strongly about.
And of course, collective worship is the other half of SACRE's responsibilities, along with religious education. Does anyone have any comments on Claire's suggestion? Yes, please. Ros.
Hi, yes, just to say I completely agree with that, Claire. I know I'm Church of England representative, but I'm also a teacher. And from our point of view, I think collective worship is something that requires a strong lead, and I would be very happy to work with you, Claire, if you wanted someone to do that, because I lead on that in our school, so that would be something I'd be interested in.
I have to say that I come from, thank you very much, Ros, first of all, that my background is teaching in a state school. So it is certainly not Roman Catholic bias, because I'm just recently a Roman Catholic and I've never set foot in a Roman Catholic school, whether I'm supposed to say that or whether I'm not, but just to that people understand that I'm not pushing Roman Catholicism, I'm pushing all faiths, and obviously Christianity as the main one.
Ros, which key stage are you, please?
So I'm the assistant head teacher, but I work in key stage 1, but I've worked all across the primary age in my time in teaching.
So you could cover key stage 2 as well?
Yeah,
so
and early years.
We have an offer from Claire and Ros to work together on supporting teachers with collective worship. Does anybody else wish to comment on that?
I just want to say my background, Ros knows, I was first school trained, have mainly taught year 2, 3 and 4, but in my last job, my last 2 jobs I have been responsible for RE throughout the school, just so you know a little bit about me.
So thank you both very much indeed for that. So I think we've now got 2 actions for our action plan. We've got a survey, which I'm very happy to work with you on, Dave, and some input perhaps from you, Claire, before you take on your new role, yes. And for Claire and Ros to work together on collective worship.
Certainly with the collective worship, when you do get to the point of having the materials ready, I'll be able to host them so that they are available at the click of a button.
We would also want, I don't know if Ros agrees with me, but I would personally appreciate, yourself and Kat to look at what we're doing as well, to make sure you're happy, because it's got to work for schools. It's not for us, to me. it's got to work and be useful otherwise.
Absolutely right.
I think we would want in a future SACRE meeting for all the materials to be presented so that everyone can have an overview while they're still in draft. And then
we have to write them yet, but yes, indeed, that's important.
Right, well,
thank you, Ross.
Very much indeed for that. Does anybody else have any suggestions for the action plan, please?
Beth has her hand up.
Diana? Oh,
no,
sorry,
not
Beth.
me, Beth. It's Beth.
Sorry, I'm trying to be polite. I noticed in your minutes from February that there was a discussion of how we could get more students engaged in Key Stage 4 and Key Stage 5, and there was some discussion of how we could congratulate these students. I really think that maybe having some sort of award that we could give out to students who are the highest performers at GCSE, or the kids who've made the most progress at GCSE, could be a great way to do that, if that's something that we could maybe think about doing.
Thank you very much, Beth, and that is a variation on what was going to be my suggestion, and I think we might be able to end up doing both of them. I think we should certainly have a SACRE award. Kaz and I had a conversation about this a little while ago, because I think most people will have heard of the RE Quality Mark, which is a national arrangement whereby schools can get a quality mark and certificates and put it on their letterheads and all the rest of it. It is a really, really valuable thing to do, but it is also extremely expensive, and it costs £300 or £400, and primary schools don't have the money to do that. So Kaz was asking a number of us about where we might be able to find funding, and the answer is we can't. So the obvious thing is not to attempt to replicate the REQM, which is great, and I wouldn't want to attempt to damage it in any way, but for Northumberland to have its own certificate of excellence. My thoughts were that it should go to secondary school departments who've done exceptionally well, or that when Kaz or Dave or colleagues in school improvement find a primary school where there is very high quality RE taking place, that SACRE should first of all present them with an award, but also invite them to a meeting to tell us what is good about their RE, so that we can disseminate and record work and support it. But I think what you're suggesting, Claire, is something slightly different, which is for individual pupils, and of course we can do both of those things. So it looks as if there are at least two suggestions about a SACRE award. Can I ask other people for their comments on that idea in principle? Is that something you think we should do?
In principle.
I think there are lots of nods taking place.
Sounds like a good idea.
Can I ask, is there any other area that's done that, where we could hitch a ride?
There are one or two I've looked at, but they're not quite what I think we should be doing here.
I know, I'm just trying to say something.
Instead of reinventing the wheel,
yeah,
copy somebody else's.
Yeah. There is, I'll go back, there's some work being done in the southwest. I'll go back and have a look again at that.
Rotary, sorry to interrupt you, Rotary clubs do tend to offer similar awards for students who show excellence in business studies or design technology.
Oh, that's interesting. Right. So I think we could have a look around, see what other people are doing, and work out what seems best for us, and find some clever person to design some sort of certificate for us that would look good. So I do have a question at this point, and it's about data protection, because I think it would be really useful for me to be able to contact individual members of SACRE, but at the moment I would have to go through you, Rebecca, wouldn't I?
Yes.
So if I were to make my email available to all of you, any of you who are willing to talk to me could email me, and then we can have direct conversations. So in the first instance, Beth, I'll make sure that my email address is sent to you, and then we can begin talking about the SACRE award, but I think it would be useful if I could contact individual members, and also if you could contact each other and be able to communicate about ideas. I think that would also generate work.
Can I
Yes.
for Ros, this is Claire Ros, that we need to get together,
No.
so we need to sort out email addresses and things, or phone numbers or whatever.
Yes, I'm happy for my email address to be passed on to you, Claire.
And
like
I'm happy.
whatever, yeah.
But when you see mine, it's Claire Pringle. It's my maiden name. I am Claire Dixon, so don't get it
Right,
wrong.
okay.
Same for me. Thank you.
Right, thank you both very much. I think Rebecca can sort that out very
Thank
nicely
you.
for us. Does anyone have any other ideas about what should go on this year's action plan?
I just one of the things, my comments after going through the SACRE, just comes to West Hill project for this year or next year. That just comes to mind.
If I could just briefly explain, the West Hill project's been running for a number of years, and the West Hill College in Birmingham has funding for around £4,000 to £5,000 to support a high quality project run via SACRE, which would benefit schools and which could have national implications, so other people can benefit from it as well. Sometimes West Hill projects culminate in a conference, sometimes they culminate in, say, materials produced for schools that are then available to all SACREs. It is a big undertaking, but it is something that I think SACRE should definitely do. I think our question is whether we're ready to take on a major project which would involve a number of people and a great deal of work.
Choice.
And
Applications will close on the 28th of February 2027 for the next round of West Hill Awards.
in 27,
That's what it says on the SACRE website.
because they normally do them every year.
Well, it looks
Well,
like.
that's excellent, good. So we don't have to make a
So
decision.
we're not in any rush.
We're not in a rush, but I think that should definitely go on our action plan, that by February 2027, we have a proposal that would be of national interest. West Hill always wants projects about diversity, and since we are the least diverse county in the country, I think they ought to give it to us, because we have a very special challenge as a mainly white community in how we teach effectively religions and worldviews. So it is a challenge that other authorities don't face. So I think we could come up with some really interesting, innovative work to support our teachers. So if we could have that, I don't see why in the summer term, Dave, we shouldn't start thinking about the West Hill project. So if we have that as an action for this academic year, and then we can really get going in at the beginning of next academic year and try to put together a good proposal. I have been involved in West Hill projects in the past, and they can be extremely beneficial to everybody involved, so I'd be very much in favour of doing that. Do you think we've got enough work on our plate, Dave, or do we need to continue?
I think I'm an officer, I don't have an opinion, Joyce, but I think you should stop now.
There might also be one or two things left over that you might think we need to continue to do that. Right, well, thank you very much indeed. I've got some thoughts about trying to cut down on paperwork, Rebecca. And as a newly independent SACRE, I think we can try to reduce our carbon imprint and try to have.
It's an interesting issue, and it is an issue with County Hall here, because we've all been given these things. And this is unique.
Well, I absolutely agree, and
that's we don't. Yeah. It's because a lot of you are not on this system, which I find dreadful. Mm-hmm. You know, I can't go through it and read it. It's got to be there, and then it dies off. You've got to put the code in again. etc. So it's an issue on both ways. I can see your point, but there's a lot of people unhappy with this paperless system.
I certainly, yes, absolutely. I entirely agree. I can see my papers are in front of me. I think we definitely need paper copies. I would question, for example, that SACRE members need pages on declarations of interest. They could go out once and then everybody's got them. We don't need to duplicate all of those pages because we are not a committee of council.
Understand that, but it's a safeguard issue because in our political world, somebody will go through the minutes of everything and say, gotcha.
It would always
And
be
that no, that happens.
It would
But
always
if I
be
didn't declare that I had X, Y, or Z, and I stood up in a meeting and said something, you know, I never sign a petition. I never do anything because I've been nobbled 3 times in planning.
we would always
why.
have declaration of interest on the agenda. That's without doubt.
Yeah.
That has to be there.
It's safeguarding the councillors. I'm not sure about everybody else, but it's safeguarding the councillors because we live in a minefield where people throw grenades at us.
I think that one. Sorry.
No, go on.
I think that would have to go to legal services just to get their advice on that.
In that case, I abandon the idea.
Yeah, I
Let's
think
keep things simple.
It's just for us councillors more than anything else.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it would because we're
Yeah,
independent
sure.
of council. That's the whole point of
yeah,
the
but
new constitution.
a
So
lot of
we do
people-
have freedom to do things as we
opposition
see
through
fit
mud
rather
and
than
hope it turns to something else.
what the council has traditionally done.
Let's park that one for the moment, and we'll see a way in which perhaps not everybody has to have all the papers that are only relevant to council.
There is a legal item coming through the council now, I think, where people haven't declared what they own, what they've all that. So I think we're on a dodgy wicket.
Declaration of conflict of interest is always an agenda item, without doubt. Okay, let's move on to you again, Dave. The SACRE newsletter and resources web page.
Yes, just a reminder that that is actually an incorrect address that you've got there. It should be .co.uk/RE, not SACRE.
Okay.
That was just to make teachers' lives easy. So just take off the SAC and you're in the right place. Just a reminder that there is a web page designed for teachers across Northumberland schools, which provides them with details about what SACRE do, all the different subject support, copies of the agreed syllabus, the newsletter, the training that's available, etc., etc., etc. So in any of your discussions with any schools, please remind them that that support is available at that particular address. The newsletter is, it doesn't go out, it's just always there. So, and again, you can find the link at the top of the web page. It's been updated this week, so it is bang up to date with everything that we know and love, and anything that gets sent to me. And Deanna, thank you. You regularly send me items that I put most of on the newsletter. But anything that you see that might be of relevance to Northumberland's RE teachers, please send my way, and I can add it to the newsletter. It's always up to date. Whenever you look at it, it is the most up-to-date version. That's why we don't do termly editions or anything like that. There's one copy, there's one version, so it's always up to date. And just try and encourage our RE staff to use the resources that are provided to them.
Thank you very much. And item 15 on the agenda is training available to SACRE. I don't think we need to go through all of these, but I would point out the 25th of June is a session, so you've joined your local SACRE, and that is designed for new SACRE members to help you understand the very complicated laws that surround RE and some of the key issues. Is your hand up? Sorry. Sorry.
Hi, sorry, it's my hand. Yeah, I was just looking at the website for the resources, and it says page not found.
I'm on it, Sahel.
Oh.
So Northumberland Education
.co.uk/SACRE?
/RE.
Oh, right, okay. 1 second. Yeah, that works. Brilliant.
Lovely,
Thank you.
thank you.
Right, that's work in action, thank you. So the 25th of June, training that is provided free to SACRE members because Northumberland SACRE is a member of the National Association of SACREs, and they provide this training year on year. There used to be a leaflet about joining your local SACREs. Does that still exist?
Is there a handbook as well?
It might be worth checking and ensuring that all new members of SACRE have access to that, even if it is an online publication.
Yep.
Because SACREs are quite complicated when it comes to the law and whatever.
Yeah, there is a SACRE members handbook.
And perhaps, Rebecca, we could include that in the minutes so that people can pursue that link and follow that for themselves. The latest massacre newsletter is included as item 16 on the agenda. Does anyone have any questions or matters about massacre?
I had some questions today which I think I've sent in. Some of my questions have been answered. Can I just put on?
Absolutely, yeah.
I was looking at the SACRE, obviously the newsletter. Is Northumberland's LEA planning to share good practice on the SACRE website? Yeah?
Yep.
And we've talked about the annual report when it's going to be sent to the SACRE. And is everyone fully aware on our SACRE that it is the authority who adopts an agreed syllabus, not a SACRE?
Yes, and so once we have decided on what we think is the most appropriate syllabus, then that decision, there is a paper written, which is then taken to, I can't remember if it's Cabinet or Council. But yes, absolutely, that is what happened last time.
Obviously, because we haven't had meetings and there have been lots of newsletters, I've just sent the questions to you. I don't intend to go through all the previous ones tonight because we'll be here a while. Thank you.
The massacre AGM in London in May was very well attended. There were more than 100 people there from, I think, a majority of SACREs across the country. And I think it is an immensely supportive organisation. I don't think this is a conflict of interest, but I've just been invited to join, to be co-opted onto the executive of the National Association of SACREs with a remit of looking to support SACREs in the North East. There are some that don't meet at all. There are some that don't have a chair. There are some that don't have an officer. There are some that seem to have disappeared from the face of the earth. So that is something that will be occupying my time for the next few months. Whether that will lead to any collaboration across the North East in terms of SACREs will remain to be seen. But there is a lot of work to be done supporting SACREs. And I don't mean to make Dave blush, but in my conversations with Massacre Executive, I always get very complimentary comments back about Dave and his immediate responses to information from the Massacre. They often spend many hours trying to chase up Dave's equivalent in other authorities. So our work on behalf of Massacre is very much appreciated. So
thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
That's lovely to hear. And I was approached via Carenza at the RE Hubs to provide some support and guidance to the new officer in Newcastle recently.
Good.
So again, part of the work that we do is helping others. She's got a day a week to be Kaz and me.
Right, it's a bit of a challenge there.
There's a challenging role.
Which I think brings us to the final discussion of dates of future meetings. We could agree those dates now, or could I suggest that we pause just to ensure that Kaz can attend? I think it's very important that she is here if at all possible. Does anyone have any comments or suggestions about the dates and their convenience?
Too far ahead.
Could you, I've tried to do this, Rebecca, and I've failed. Interfaith Week is this week, I think. And I've just been doing an RE lesson as a Buddhist in a walk with school this afternoon before I came here. It's probably quite a busy week for people who are faith representatives on SACRE. So it might be quite useful to check that it doesn't coincide with future interfaith weeks, but they don't seem to put up their dates yet for next year. And I assume we've checked that there are no clashes with any major religious festival. I think we've managed to avoid Ash Wednesday for those Christians who observe Ash Wednesday. So, are we okay with these dates as a working? Georgina?
Just looking at the 5th of February is a Thursday, not a Wednesday.
Yes, it's the 4th.
It's the 4th, Georgina.
It's my agenda says the 5th.
Well, it should say the 4th.
4th.
That's interesting.
I'll have a special agenda. No, I'm just reading it. What's the date of the next meeting? It's Wednesday the 5th. And I just thought that's not a Wednesday. That's fine.
And Ben?
Are you in the right year?
2026.
Interfaith Week is
This
always
is my
the thing. Interfaith Week is always the week after Remembrance Weekend, so it's a good way to know. The other thing is that the June dates could clash with GCSE dates. If you want secondary teachers attending, it might not be the best time. The week after would be fine.
Right, so we could push the June dates back a little bit. I must say I always wince a bit at those early February dates because the weather's awful and the driving's awful and it's dark. I don't know whether, but then we do need accommodation. We don't want to clash because the worst thing that happens is that we've had to cancel SACRE meetings and we absolutely have to avoid that at all costs. Really.
And the other factor to mention is that later in February, obviously, we have important budget meetings.
Okay, so earlier in February is better for committee.
It is, for us, for the council.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Well, we do have to have councillors present. We can't, every committee has to
Well,
be
if this
there.
was clashed with the budget full council, if it did, we would have to be not here.
So we absolutely need to avoid any and all clashes if humanly possible.
Just with the big meetings, I mean, this is an unusual time for a NCC meeting. Because normally
It's not an NCC meeting.
Well, yeah. It came on NCC paper and it's signed by the chief executive.
And that will be the last time it's done like that, yes.
So what I'm saying is it's an unusual time, 4 o'clock. Most of the county council meetings are 10 or 2 or 1, so it'll be all right.
The reason for that is to ensure that we've got representation from schools, because of course
That's school time.
difficult for them to come out of school or cost them money to be out of school. Somebody else has to be brought in to cover for them.
All the dates that I've got there do not clash with council meetings.
I'm sure they don't. So could we just leave those with you? And then it would be good to have dates confirmed as soon as possible. And is there any other business, please?
I would just like to say one thing. I welcome you as chair. I have been on this committee for a long time, and one of my frustrations with it is, I haven't been able to attend all the meetings, I haven't, but, we're here to make sure that good quality religious education is taught in schools and that it is up there, not getting less and less. And you seem very well connected, you know a lot of people, and I just hope that you as our new chair can use your influence to raise up our offering to the children. Myself, I feel I've been fortunate when I was learning about religious education I got it at school, but there was also Sunday school every week. And, you know, that helped me and helped the people in my village a lot. Those Sunday schools aren't around now, so it's really down to the school. So it's so important that we get religious education taught to a standard and encourage more and more people to engage. So, well done.
Very generous, thank you very much indeed.
No, not
and,
so.
I'm very excited about our future possibilities as a SACRE, and I would just remind everybody, and perhaps you could limit this, everyone can appoint a substitute. So that if you can't come to a meeting, you could send somebody in your place as long as they represent your community. Where I'm going to find a Buddhist who's interested in education, I do not know, but I'm going to do my best because I think everybody should be able to call on someone if they're not able to attend. So it is a little bit odd, and I'm going to have to talk to my optician about how I can see to read and see at a distance. My varifocals do not work, and it's been a bit odd trying to chair a hybrid meeting, and I'm grateful to those who've pointed out when hands are up and I haven't seen them. So thank you to our distant members for their attendance online. I think it is wonderful if we can meet in person, but better to have you here on a screen than not have you here at all. And to those who are in County Hall, my thanks for your attendance. And Rebecca, we now have a swifter deadline for minutes to go out, as you know. So we've got a 3-week turnaround in the hope that everybody will then read the draft minutes. And if we could have corrections or suggestions of change to the minutes sent to you, so that by the next meeting we've got a corrected version, which we then hopefully go through quite quickly. So thank you all for your work, and I'm delighted to say we've probably finished ahead of schedule, which is even better. So many, many thanks, and I close the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Safe journeys home.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.